Good girl. Our last walk, that was almost impossible, having somebody drive by without her panicking and trying to run off. Sit. Sit down. All the way. Thank you. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. You notice that she's on a slip lead. I'm going to send something home with you that's similar. It's called a dominance dog collar. It's just a slip lead like this, just a little bit more intricate. It's designed so that there is no slack, but it fits comfortably around the neck. Like I said, with no slack so they can't escape it. And then it tightens like this when it's a slip lead, when there's pressure. And that's going to be awesome for her. I'm going to send that home with y'all as her walking collar. And you may be able to transition out of it as you guys practice walking and realize you might not need it anymore. You can use a flat collar. I do not use harnesses. I don't like them. Harnesses were actually invented by mushers to exaggerate the pulling behavior that dogs already have instinctively. And so, more or less, harnesses were literally made for dogs to pull more. And so when we're trying to have a dog not pull on the leash, that's really difficult, right? So we just overall don't use harnesses. That harness that y'all brought with us is a great vest. So like when we get to the point of her being able to go out in public, if we get there, you can use that as kind of her SD vest and you can put some patches on it. But a leash should never be attached to that. That's merely aesthetic. She needs to be on some kind of collar if she's going to be walking on something, or without a leash, obviously, if she can. But she's doing great. Her prey drive and chasing things has gone down a lot in the last few days as we've been walking. She's still a little chasey and flighty like you saw there when a car drove by. That's something we're working through. I imagine that's something that y'all are going to have to work through as well as we transition into home. I know I've just been saying the same things over and over again, but I'm obviously saying them for a reason. She's very high prey drive, and that is something that's just going to have to be managed between you guys, us as your trainers, and whomever else handles her throughout her whole life. That's just going to have to be something that's managed, and we're going to have to work through it forever, unfortunately. But fortunately, as we progress in training, it's becoming more obvious that she can manage it. So we know that it's something that can happen and that we can focus on, for the rest of her life, and not something that's just completely unmanageable. Because you will have those cases of dogs where their prey drive is just so unmanageable in a pet home that there's really just not much you can do about it, but just let it happen, or find somebody that's a little bit, maybe does some sports or something like that, that can get them all of that energy and whatever they need out of their system in order to function appropriately. But like I said, I think that we definitely can manage Zelda at a pet home just fine, especially if she's going to move on to be a working dog. I'm hoping that we'll be able to accomplish that level as we grow and learn. But I just wanted to give you a quick leash update and let you know kind of how we're doing and what we're doing. I have the e-collar on her today. I've used it just a handful of times. And the only reason why I have it on today is because you mentioned that you guys kind of want to just have one at home and use it. That way you have access to an easy tool to make life and training a little bit easier, which I totally applaud. I love that. I wish all my pet parents were like that. No, ma'am. Thank you. And so that's why I put it on today. That way she can kind of get an idea of what exactly the e-collar does outside while we're on a leash. And I will make a whole video going over that for you before I send her home. That way you have it for reference. I'm not going to go over it right now because this is our first session on one. And so it's still a little funky and a little new to her. And so managing her, training her, and recording all with only two hands can be kind of a process and kind of taxing and tedious. So once I get her understanding a little bit more of what it does and how to work with it, then I'll be able to get a really good solid video for you on what to do with it. But that's a little update for now.